It is night two of the Democratic debate, and the focus leading into it is mostly on two front runners. We're talking about Bernie Sanders and Joe Biden. Former Vice President Biden, who leads the polls, kept a low profile ahead of tonight's debate. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, however, joined other candidates in visiting a migrant detention center outside Miami.
Instead of demonizing these children and undocumented people in general, as Trump is doing, we've got to get to the root cause of the problem.
Sanders and Biden will be joined on stage by 8 others, including Senator Kamala Harris, South Bend Mayor Pete Buttigieg, and Colorado Senator Michael Bennet. But last night, in between all the policy talk, Julian Castro, Cory Booker, and Beto O'Rourke addressed potential voters in Spanish. Twitter had a field day. Melissa Correa is live near the Galleria. Mel, all these memes and jokes aside, what are people saying?
While the fluency of the Spanish speaker varied, candidate
Vamos a tratar cada persona con el respeto.
to candidate,
La situación ahora es inaceptable.
the message was clear. Presidential politicians are chasing the Latino vote. Gabby, a dreamer, tweeted she was moved to tears to hear Spanish was used to address her community. Anthony says he has no problem with it. But Jim wonders, are we still in America? According to the U.S. Census, more than 41 million people are native Spanish speakers. Another 12 million are bilingual. Spanish is the second most widely used language in the country. And as of last year, about 29 million Latinos were eligible to vote, with the number of actual Latino voters nearly doubling from 2014 to 2018. The largest increase on record from one midterm to another, likely linked to issues like border security and immigration reform. Which is why Chuck thinks speaking Spanish is a clever strategy to reach out to Latino voters. Tonight's candidates now joking their Spanish is terrible or they're racing to learn the language. Buena suerte. That means good luck in Spanish. Listen, Mia, some other reasons why some of these presidential candidates may be trying out their Spanish. Well, this round of debates is being hosted in Miami, where a majority of the population are Latinos who do speak Spanish. And this debate is also being streamed on Telemundo. As to whether this round of presidential candidates tonight will try Spanish, well, we're going to have to wait and see.
Muy bien, and thank you, Mel. We have more on the debates on KHOU.com and the KHOU 11 mobile app. You can also catch a recap of tonight's debate coming up at 10 or on H-Town Rush tomorrow morning. Immigration